Scattered across all 7 seas are the islands and archipelagos that make up the 14 UK overseas territories. One of the most remote of all lies 2,500 kilometres west of Cape Town, in the centre of the South Atlantic. The only way to get there is by boat, across some of the roughest waters on the planet. We're now about 5 miles from Tristán da Cunha. Any minute now, hopefully, it's going to appear through that mist. So 18 days of sailing out of Cape Town is about to come to an end. Well, after 3 weeks at sea, we finally made it. I had my doubts at a few points, but here we are. Welcome to the most remote inhabited island in the world. It definitely feels like I'm a long way from anywhere. Tristán is the tip of a volcano thrust up from the ocean floor over a hotspot in the Earth's mantle. It rises to over 2,000 meters above sea level. It might look inhospitable, but far from it. There is a village here, Edinburgh of the 7 Seas, with all the comforts of life. Just 270 people live here. But what is life really like here in the world's most remote village? The best way to find out is to ask someone who has lived here his whole life. Harold Green. And what's it like living in such a small community?
Well, it's a nice life here. Everyone on the island, we call them brothers and sisters. We act as a big family. Yep. We share and share alike. If they kill a oxen, they always slice it and give everybody some piece of beef or mutton or fish, anything. Really? And if anyone get in trouble, say a roof go off a house, or they're there to help you. The minister's there for the help. And it's safe, and you can let the children go anywhere around us, anywhere, I mean anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, we don't bolt a door or lock a door. We can go to west where our potato patches is. We leave our windows open on fine days. We leave our doors open. There's no locks at all.
Harold mentioned potato patches. That's about a mile down the road, the only road. And of course, there's a bus. The potato patches are the island's farm. Every family owns several fields to grow potatoes and other vegetables. But, as Harold pointed out, this is really one big family, and everyone helps out when there's work to be done. The islanders also keep cows, sheep, ducks and chickens, but numbers of livestock are strictly controlled to prevent overgrazing of the island's limited pasture.
It really feels like a beautiful old fishing and farming village, obviously a working village. And really it seems to me that it could just be a piece of England cut out and thrown down in the middle of the South Atlantic, except of course for the volcano.
And that volcano is still active. It erupted in 1961 and came close to destroying the village. Lava flowed out onto the coastal plain, and climbing above it shows how close it came to Edinburgh before it stopped. Just a few tens of meters. It was a terrifying experience for the islanders. Do you also remember the volcano erupting?
Yes, it erupts in October.
And what was it like during the eruption when the volcano was erupting just down the road?
And you saw like it's wanted a big shake like that, for any rate. And it shakes so much the volcano started open.
There was nowhere to retreat to on the island. The only solution was to evacuate the islanders to safety.
We went to Cape Town first, and then on a Starring Castle we went back to England. And they took us with coaches. First time we ride in a coach or a car in my life. We only ride on donkeys on Tristán them days.
So what was your time like while you were in England, while the volcano erupted?
The British people, I will say once, I'll say again, you wouldn't wish for better people to live with. Not I sent myself, any islander can say the same thing I'm saying. And we stay 18 months. We just want to come back to Tristán again.
And so what also made you want to come back to Tristán?
Well, Tristan's so special to me. It's so calm. It's peaceful. It's so quiet. But I don't like the noise, a lot of noise, you know. But I just like the quietness. And that it's so quiet on Tristán sometimes you can hear the grass grow.
The seas around Tristán are rich in marine life that supports both wildlife and people. The islanders run a carefully controlled fishery for lobsters for commercial markets. They also catch fish for their own use, but are careful not to overexploit these precious resources. So the waters around Tristán remain vibrant with life. Shoals of five-finger are abundant, and there are also some surprisingly colourful fish down here. A Tristán wrasse looks like it should be more at home on a tropical reef. The fish swim through forests of giant kelp, which can reach 45 meters in height. These forests can develop remarkably quickly, since giant kelp can grow at over ½ meter a day. And weaving through the kelp forests are creatures that share the marine harvest with the Tristanians. Subantarctic fur seals and northern rockhopper penguins. The fur seals seem to like showing off their swimming skills as they dance and pirouette around divers in an underwater ballet. rocky shores of the islands provide places where the fur seals can haul out to sunbathe. And it's here where they raise their pups. Almost hunted to extinction in the early years of the 20th century, their numbers are now recovering. Perhaps 3/4 of the world population of northern rockhopper penguins nest on these islands. Their population on Tristán itself seems stable, but elsewhere numbers have fallen. On some islands, perhaps this is due to competition with growing fur seal numbers. Even so, Tristán da Cunha remains vital for the future of this charismatic penguin. The Tristán group of islands is also vitally important for the Atlantic yellow-nosed albatross. Although they range far and wide over the southern Atlantic, all of them return to the Tristán Islands to breed. High above the village on Tristán itself is a plateau covered in forests of dwarf tree ferns. And sheltering amongst the ferns, the albatrosses rear their single chicks. They nest on all of the islands in the group, but the largest population is here on the main island. Like many islands elsewhere, these seabirds face a problem from rats that have escaped from passing ships. But here on Tristán, the islanders do their best to help their unique albatrosses. Once a year, on ratting day, all of the Tristanians turn out to kill as many rats as possible.
No, three.
The Tristanians have been as careful to look after the islands as they have the seas around them, and Tristán remains a real jewel of Britain's treasure islands.
By conserving the island so effectively, the community on Tristán has ensured that the resources of the island can be passed down from generation to generation, including the unique species of Tristán, such as this spectacular Atlantic yellow-nosed albatross, which occurs nowhere else in the world. This whole island is a perfect example of how a balance can be struck, whereby wildlife and mankind can survive together in harmony.
It's only got 265 residents and as much coastline as you could possibly want. There happens to be a volcano too, but the last major eruption was 5 decades ago. And it certainly helps if you enjoy your own company, as Tristán da Cunha is situated midway between South Africa and South America. So, if you know something about tending livestock and crop rotation, the islanders are hoping this could be the place for you. They are seeking a farmer who can help them increase their food production and make them less reliant on imports. It's 7 days on a fishing boat to the nearest mainland. However, the work could be challenging, says one agricultural advisor who did the job a few years ago.
There's about 1,500 acres of grassland on which they run cattle and sheep, and they also have a small area where they grow potatoes. But that's the sum total of the agriculture.
This is the loneliest human colony on Earth.
Tristán da Cunha, a British overseas territory, hit the headlines in the early 60s when a volcano forced its inhabitants to be evacuated. First to South Africa, 1,500 miles away, and then on to England. When they returned, not all of them seemed happy to be back on the most remote inhabited island on Earth. Islander Basil Lavarello shared his feelings in 1965.
If they had a vote now for people to return to England, I'd say 3/4 out of the community would return back there again.
Would you be one of them?
I would be one of them.
Basil's first cousin, once removed, is still on the island, and he maintains it's the dream place to live and work.
It's very pristine, should I say, and you know, of course, there's no crime, and yeah, I think anyone who comes here for a short-term contract, they just enjoy it so much that they're always saying they would like to come back.
So now, a rare chance to find out for yourself. The salary is undisclosed, but there is a pub for after work. And of course, all the view you could ever need.
After 7 days at sea, we've arrived. Tristán da Cunha, the most remote inhabited island on the planet. This is one of the reasons I became an explorer.
Underwater was as quiet and gentle and amazing as any place I have ever looked at a kelp forest.
One of the best dives you can possibly imagine. Tristán da Cunha is an example to the rest of the planet as to how we should look after our ecosystems.